It's 6 in the morning on a totally average Tuesday. You're right in the middle of your best beauty sleep, probably dreaming about a tropical beach somewhere, when you suddenly feel this gentle but very persistent pressure on your chest. You crack one eye open and find yourself staring directly at your cat's fuzzy backside, proudly presented just inches from your nose. Most of us would just groan, sigh, and gently nudge the cat off the bed, while wondering why this creature has absolutely zero sense of personal space. We usually write it off as arrogance or just plain rudeness. But as an animal psychologist, I have to tell you that we're getting it all wrong. We're making the classic mistake of anthropomorphizing, which is just a fancy way of saying we're applying human etiquette to a predator that's wired completely differently. In reality, that moment, as gross as it might seem to us, is one of the most complex communication signals in the animal kingdom. Your cat isn't telling you they don't respect you. They're trying to tell you something much deeper that's rooted in their very biology. In the feline world, what we see as a lack of boundaries is actually the highest form of diplomatic recognition. It is a rare glimpse behind the curtain of the domesticated house cat, straight into the heart of a tiny desert lion. The first reason you might think your cat isn't into you is that very butt presentation move I just mentioned. From a human perspective, it's an insult, but biologically, it's a visual and olfactory business card. Cats have scent glands all over their bodies, but the most concentrated information is located right at the base of the tail. In a colony, cats show each other their rear ends to communicate their identity and their health status. It is essentially the feline version of a social media profile, updated in real time. But there's an evolutionary layer to this too. Alertness. A predator never shows its most vulnerable side to a potential enemy. By turning their back to you and presenting their rear, your cat is signaling a level of blind trust that is almost unmatched. They are literally assuming that you've got their back while they scan the rest of the room for any incoming threats. It's not a sign of disrespect, it's a nightly act of brotherhood. They're saying, I trust you so much that I'm putting my defense entirely in your hands. So the next time you wake up to a tail in your face, don't take it personally. Just recognize that you've been recruited as their most trusted bodyguard. The second reason for the big misunderstanding is the infamous belly trap. You walk through the door, your cat throws themselves onto their back with theatrical flair and shows you that soft, fluffy tummy. You think, oh, how sweet, they want a belly rub. You reach down and zap. Your hand is suddenly in a meat grinder made of 4 paws, unsheathed claws, and very sharp teeth. You feel betrayed, maybe even hated. But this is actually a primal protective reflex. The belly is the most vulnerable spot on a cat. That's where all the vital organs are sitting right under a thin layer of skin. When a cat shows you their belly, it's not an invitation to touch. It's a status report. They're saying, look, I'm so relaxed in your presence that I can drop my guard. When you try to touch them there, it triggers an instinctive defensive jolt in many cats. It's like you're breaking the very trust they just demonstrated by crossing a major boundary. They don't hate you. They're just shocked that you don't know the rules of feline etiquette. Moving on to the third point, the slow blink or the cold shoulder. Have you ever wondered why your cat sometimes stares at you, closes their eyes really slowly, and then just looks away like you suddenly don't exist? In the predator world, a direct, unblinking stare is a threat. It's the opening move of an attack. When your cat breaks eye contact and blinks slowly, it's an evolutionary peace treaty. Scientific studies have shown that this slow blink actually lowers cortisol levels in cats. It's their way of saying, I'm not a threat to you, and I know you aren't a threat to me. The fact that they seem to ignore you afterward is actually the ultimate compliment. In a group of cats, ignorance equals safety. Only a cat that feels absolutely secure can afford to not keep their eyes on their companion at all times. That apparent disinterest is actually the confirmation of a stable, loving bond. The fourth point is all about kneading, or as we like to call it, the high-stakes art of making biscuits. It's that bizarrely painful moment when your cat decides your thigh is the perfect spot for an unrequested, rhythmic acupuncture session. You're sitting there, trying to relax, while 10 tiny needles slowly shred your favorite jeans as your cat marches in place with a look of absolute, glazed-over ecstasy. If you've ever worried this was some kind of aggressive power move or a weird nervous tic, don't panic. It's actually a behavior they've carried over from when they were just tiny furballs. Kittens need their moms to stimulate milk flow, a process that floods their tiny brains with oxytocin, the ultimate bonding hormone. So when an adult cat does this to you, they aren't trying to tenderize you for dinner. They're seeing you as their primary caregiver, a sort of super parent. But wait, there's a sneaky biological layer to this too. Cats have scent pads tucked away in their paws. By needing you, they are marking you as their territory in the most intimate way possible. They aren't being bossy or trying to own you in a get off my lawn kind of way. They're signaling to the universe that you belong to their exclusive inner circle. It's a territorial marking of love. They're claiming you simply because you're the one who makes them feel safe. The fifth and maybe most misunderstood sign, and definitely the messiest, is the hunting and the subsequent bringing of gifts, or at least what your cat considers a gift. Finding a dead mouse on the doormat or a mangled saliva-drenched toy placed precisely where your bare feet will land is rarely the highlight of anyone's morning. Most of us assume our cats are either being tiny, fuzzy psychopaths or trying to play a very gross prank on us. But from a biological standpoint, this is actually a high-stakes feline intervention. In the wild, mother cats bring prey back to their young so the kittens can learn the essential pounce and crunch mechanics of survival. Your cat has been watching your daily routine very closely, and frankly, they are worried about you. To them, you appear to be a massive, hairless, and dangerously incompetent kitten. You spend your entire day staring at glowing rectangles and tapping on plastic keys, yet you never seem to catch a single bird, a cricket, or even a decent-sized moth. From their perspective, it's a total mystery how you've managed to survive this long without their help. So, out of pure empathy and a deep-seated concern for your survival, they decide to provide some much-needed catering. Whether it's a real lizard or just a soggy felt mouse, they are trying to feed you or at least give you some remedial tutoring on how to provide for yourself. It's not that they think you're incapable of love, it's the ultimate proof that they consider you a member of their family who needs a crash course in survival strategy. By now, you're probably realizing that communication between humans and cats often hangs by a thread of misunderstanding. We expect dog-like loyalty that's loud and tail-wagging, but we're dealing with a solitary hunter who prefers silence and subtlety. But stay with me for a second, because there's a moment where all these signs can flip, and that's the point where you really need to pay attention. There's a warning signal that almost every cat owner misses because it's so quiet. We've just learned that a lot of annoying or distant behaviors are actually signs of affection and trust. But what happens if that behavior suddenly stops? What if your cat, who usually wakes you up with their tail in your face, suddenly stays in the other room? What if they stop kneading, stop blinking, or start retreating to sleep in places they never go? In nature, an injured or sick cat is a target for other predators. Their instinct tells them to mask pain as perfectly as possible. The sudden disappearance of their lovable, annoying quirks is often the first and only sign of chronic pain or an emerging illness. When the loud purring stops or the apparent arrogance turns into genuine isolation, that's the moment the communication has broken down. Your cat isn't telling you they love you anymore, they're fighting a silent battle on their own. So don't just watch what they do, be especially alert when they stop showing those little, wonderful habits that sometimes drive us crazy. Because at the end of the day, it's those weird rituals that prove we're the most important thing in their tiny, wild universe. Until next time, take care of yourself and that little desert lion on your couch.